running, run. No, 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 ay. I've been running out of time, think I need to rewind, feeling out of line. I put everything aside, hoping that I make it right, all the things I do. I've been running out of time, think I need to rewind, feeling out of line.
Ever since I had my encounter with this creature, it's like I've been invited into another world. Now listen, I was born and raised in Houston. Far north is what we call my hood. Violent, crime-filled, high drama, standard hood shit. And I want to be clear with you. I had no idea that these things existed. And because I had no idea that they existed, I broke every unwritten rule about engaging them. Now you may be sitting here listening to the story asking yourself, okay, so how did you end up in a situation where you were around these creatures? And the truth of the matter is this. It was all about the money. It really was. It wasn't until way later that I found out that people had a fascination with werewolves. Understand, the hood where I grew up at, you watch horror movies, but shit's scary enough. Going out your front door, you could get shot. Going to the grocery store, you can get robbed. Going to your car, you could get carjacked. So I had absolutely no leaning towards horror, the paranormal, none of that foolishness. I was just trying to live my life and I needed a little bit of extra bread. And then comes along my homie Bug. Now listen to this. I get a phone call. Ring, ring. It's Bug. And let me tell you a little bit about Bug. Bug is a hustler extraordinaire. He's one of those guys. He was selling dope when we were sophomores in high school. Been dating the same girl, Kizzy, since we were sophomores in high school. And Bug and Kizzy have a complicated relationship. Mainly because Kizzy is extremely violent. Now, if you're from the hood, you done encountered violent women in the hood before. Type of chick that'll black your eye, then call the police. That's the type of chick Kizzy is. And she's been that way since we was 14, 15 years old. Fast forward. Bug calls me, he says, listen man, I gotta take Kizzy out of town. She wanna go to Jamaica, and I need you to hold down one of my spots for me. Now, I'm thinking he talking about a drug spot, trap house. But no. I didn't know Bug had graduated, stepped up to the big boy game. He was on some whole other stuff. So he swings by my crib, pulls up in a blacked out Jeep Tahoe, and this dude gets out the driver's side of the car. And I'm not talking about a regular looking dude. I'm talking about one of the military looking white boys with them box heads. He gets out and stands next to the vehicle, then Bug gets out. Now pause right here and let me say this. First of all, the blacked out Tahoe riding through the hood. Then the first person jumping out of the Tahoe is old Marine looking white boy. I'm talking about a chiseled chin steel eating looking white boy. It's some shit about to go down. So now Bug is getting out of the car. As he's getting out, all my people are starting to come in this direction because everybody trying to figure out what the hell is going down. However, once people start to realize it's just Bug, everything calms down. We go inside. He says, look, man, I'm going to break it down for you. I got this new hustle that I'm on. He says, I'm not moving no weight. I'm not doing none of that, man. I'm a facilitator. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. And I understand what the word facilitate means, but I don't know what being a facilitator means. What are you facilitating, Bug? That's when he goes on this tirade, talking about Halliburton, Pfizer, Lockheed Martin. He said, you know what all those companies got in common? And I'm like, no. He says they all make money off the dope game. We the only fools out here on the corner, on the block, getting shot up over dope. But they all make money off the dope game, and ain't none of them white folks getting shot. So this is what I'm doing now. I'm a facilitator. He goes on to explain to me that he set up certain properties around the country where he flow of contraband and illegal items. To me, it sounded like he was still pushing dope, but he goes a little bit deeper. He says, man, I don't have nothing. All I have is cabins in the woods, cabins on farms, where people come by and I facilitate a rest stop for them. While they're driving along from point A to point B, they can stop, spend the night with me, and I guarantee their load and their safety. So now I'm sitting there listening to it, and I ain't gonna lie to you, it sound like a cool hustle. But I gotta run some questions by him. I'm like, look, Bug, I understand what you're saying. You facilitate things for people. You make sure everything is safe. Kind of like a concierge, right? He says, yeah. But my question for you, Bug, is this. How do you stop somebody just from rolling up, whacking everybody, and taking whatever they got? That's when he smiles and he says, well, I'll explain that to you when you come by. I'm like, well, man, I'm not really sure if I want to be involved in this. That's when Bug says, I'll pay you $25,000, bro. All you got to do is just stay on the property for a week. while me and Kizzy go to vacation. That's it. While I'm in Jamaica, you be there, answer the phone. Everything else should run smooth. My people are going to be there. So now imagine the scene. I'm sitting there on my sofa looking around. And I don't know if you know this, being a dope boy is nothing like what you see on TV. It's not glitz and glamour. It's not no damn rap video. It's a trap house. This was the trap house I was in, and it was sloppy and messy. Now, my crib, it was okay. Now, at the end of the day, the average dope boy like me, I make about $50,000, $60,000 a year. I'm telling you. And I don't have a problem admitting it to you. I'm average at this. Now, you add in the cost of business, right? Getting picked up, bonding yourself out, bailing and bonding your other people's out. Man, it comes down to like $30,000 a year. But this dude's trying to give me 25 racks for a week. So I said, listen, let me think about it a little bit, Bugs. I'll give you a call in about an hour. He hops up, gets in his car, rolls out, and I sit there, roll a blunt, smoke, and thinking, man, maybe I should just handle this, do this, get this 25 racks, and maybe he'll plug me in so I can do this more often. And see, in my mind, that's what I was more worried about. I wasn't really worried about getting that paper. I was worried about things in the long run, playing the long game. Let me get in with Bug, see what's happening, get me some money. Now, in between me getting high, I decide to play a video game, then I get hungry, bada bing, bada boom. It takes me about 4 hours before I can call Bug back and tell him yes. But I call him, I say, listen, man, I'll do it. He tells me, look, I want you to come out to this area and pause. I'm not going to disclose the exact area, but I will tell you this. It's within 200 miles of Richard, Texas. He tells me to meet him at the spot Friday morning. He's going to run everything down to me, pay me, bada bing, bada boom. Friday rolls around, I hop in the whip, head out there, pull up, skirt. And let me tell you something. When you pull up to this place, it's just a huge plot of land with a fence. Like looking at the land, looking head on, you don't really see anything but this little small shack. And by shack, I mean 10 by maybe 15 feet. Going to the gate, pull up to the shack. Bug is inside of the shack, and the grizzled chin white boy is there with him as well. Now, inside, this thing is modern. I'm talking about a high-tech security system. I'm talking about monitors on the wall, servers, the whole nine. Now, for the next couple of days, you're going to be right up in here. You're going to be checking cameras, making sure everything going smooth. My man Joseph over here is going to be with you. Looking over to his left, the big grizzled chin white boy that looked like he eats steel. Turns out his name is Joseph. Now, pause right here. Let me describe Joseph for you. 6'3", 215, all muscle. Look like he can run up a mountain and beat up a gorilla. That's what he looks like. Bug goes on to explain to me that they got 3 guests coming in. It shouldn't be a problem. Once we check them in, everything is cool. Then he goes on to tell me if something goes wrong, that Joseph and the rest of his guys will handle it. So now I'm sitting there looking around, kind of overwhelmed by the whole situation. Because you got to realize, I knew Bug was smart when we was in high school. He was like genius level smart. The kind of kid that could do homework without reading a book smart. But to sit back and see what he had built out looking at those cameras, there were different cabins off in the woods on this property. It all started to dawn on me what this Negro was doing. He had straight up created an Airbnb for dope dealers, an Airbnb for drug smugglers and gun runners. That's what he had created. So now I'm sitting there head in hand thinking about it all. And the only thing that came to mind to ask him was like, listen, Bugs, what's the worst thing that could happen? You know, tell me, what could go wrong? Him and Joseph look at each other. Then he turns to me and he says, well, we really ain't had no problems because people don't know where this place is. And they don't know how to find us. I guess the worst thing that can go wrong is them damn werewolves could come back again. Pause, stop, rewind. I'm looking at him thinking to myself, did this nigga just say werewolves? And he did. He said, them werewolves could come back. So now I'm saying, Buzz, quit fucking with me, man. Ain't no such thing as werewolves. He says, nah, I'm serious. Last month we was on the backside of the property fixing some sensors, and there was some werewolves back there. Now, have you ever had a person tell you something so casually that is kind of like nothing to it, but in your mind, it really is something to it? That's how Bug is talking. I'm looking at Joseph trying to get a read on his face, and it's just stone cold. Bug says, yeah, that's about the worst case scenario, but I don't think we're going to have no problems with that. Now get this, 15 minutes pass, he's explaining to me how to use the whole system. He walks over to a safe, opens it up, gives me 25 racks, cash, puts it in my hand. Boom, here you go. And then he leaves me there with Joseph. Now, I don't know if you've ever been around a Marine, special operator, Secret Service, anything like that. But these guys are extremely polite, but yet firm at the same time. Joseph is referring to me as sir. but I'm younger than him, but he keeps calling me sir. And so I'm like, Joseph, so what's the first thing we do? He looks at me and says, well, what do you want to do, sir? I tell him, well, I don't know what to do, Joe. What do you think I should do? He says, well, sir, we're supposed to sit here and watch the camera, sir. Now, listen, after about 30 minutes of going back and forth with this man and him calling me sir, I start to get a tad bit agitated, but I know ain't no way in hell I'm about to whoop his ass. So I'm not about to threaten him. So I said, listen, Joe, if we're going to work together, you can't just be calling me sir, man. You can't be calling me sir, man. Just respond. You don't have to do that. And his response is, yes, sir. That was Friday. Fast forward, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's all good. When I tell you there's nothing going on, you had the people check in, everything is smooth. We ain't having no problems. This is the easiest 25 racks I done ever made in my life. And as Thursday closes in, me knowing that I only got one more day, I'm sitting here saying to myself, man, I can't believe I done made this kind of money. And this is the thing about money. Now, let me tell you something about money. If you never really had cash money in your hand, you see, you start spending money in your head before it's really yours. Yes, I had that money in my bag. I hadn't spent a dime of it, but I had already started spending that money in my mind. Like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to do this. Boom, boom, boom. I'm real excited. 48 hours, I'm out the door, right? Wrong. Fucking wrong, man. I'm talking about Dave Chappelle, wrong. Because Wednesday night, it's me and Joe. We up in there chilling, talking. I done broke the ice. We kind of laughing a little bit about things when all the cameras on the back side of the property go out at the same time. Joe looks at me. I look at him. Joe looks at me. I look at him. He gets on the radio and tells the rest of the guys to come towards the front. Pause right here. Let me say this. I had never met the other guys that were there. It was just me and Joe this entire time. So 5 minutes later, up comes two more grizzled-chinned white boys who look like they chew on steel. And this is when shit starts to go crazy. Joe walks over to a locker, grabs a handgun, hands it to me and says, look, come to the back of the property with us. Pause. Stop. I'm from the hood. I done shot people, done been shot at. I wouldn't consider myself a shooter, but I will shoot. There's a huge difference. However, the expectations laid out to me as to what I needed to do by Bug did not dictate me taking a gun and going out into the darkness, walking around on the backside of this property. There was nothing in the job description that he explained to me that signified that I needed to do this. So I tell Joe, I said, listen, Joe, I think I'm going to stay right here while you guys go check it out. They all look at each other. And then Joe looks at me and he says, well, okay, here's the scenario. Let's say all three of us go towards the back of the property and it's a setup. And while we're back there, somebody comes through the front gate. What's the first place you think they're going to stop? Right here. Who do you think they're going to kill first? You. So the way I see it is this. If you come back there with us, you're safe. If you stay right here, I can't protect you. Now, unless you're telling me that you can handle yourself well enough to defend yourself against highly trained individuals, because that's the only type of people that are going to come here, then you should come with us. But if you can handle yourself, stay here. I sit there for a second. I'm like, nah, bro, I can't handle myself like that. We about to go. Now, the four of us start the process of walking to the backside of the property, and I want to remind you the type of men that I'm with. Military type dudes. They're walking along like it's no problem. Man, we are going uphill, and they just walking like it's nothing. Not breathing hard, not doing nothing. We get to this point where there's a plateau, and wham, we get to the fence line where the cameras are. And I need to paint a picture for you. Darkness in the building, darkness out there. So Joe starts to check the cameras, gets to the first spot, he shines his light, he says, listen, it's kind of weird. The lines haven't been cut, they've been ripped. The three of them look at each other. We move further along, which is further away. Get to the next spot where the next camera is. That camera's on the ground and crushed like a Coca-Cola can. When Joe sees that, he says, listen, guys, we're going to head back towards the front. This is not what we thought it was. I'm going to repeat that. This is not what we thought it was. But see, in my mind, I had no thoughts as to what it was. So as we're walking along, I said, Joe, well, what do you mean by this is not what we thought it was? The three of them kind of look at each other and don't say anything. I'm like, Joe, listen to me, babe. I'm going to need you to talk to me. What's going on out here? He said, well, I thought it was somebody coming to try and infiltrate the property, but it doesn't look like it. It doesn't make sense. Why would they go through all the trouble to crush your camera as opposed to just cutting the wires? This is something else going on out here. Now, mind you, I remember the fact that Bug said that there were werewolves out here, but it didn't dawn on me that this could have been a werewolf. So I'm walking, and they're walking. Everything is cool, and then it goes quiet. And I'm going to try my best to describe this type of quietness to you. It's like you're walking along, you hear the crickets, you hear everything, and then everything stops. It's not like you're walking to a bubble. It's like you're walking, and then nature stops. That's what it seemed like nature decided to turn off. Like somebody clicked off the switch to all the sounds of nature, and it's just dead quiet. I notice it, those guys notice it, and they start to speed up the pace of their walking. A few seconds after that, I would say about 15 seconds after that, you hear this growl, and it's not like like this deep guttural growl. It actually sounded like a little dog growling. Truthfully, it sounded like a puppy growling. For me, it was one of those things I noticed, I heard it, but it didn't register in my mind as a threat. But to them, it registered as a threat because they start to put space in between each other. Now they're grabbing their weapons and turning the lights on the front of their weapons. And I'm saying to myself, man, y'all tripping. It's just a little dog out here, man. Let's go. Let's get back to the front. Well, we move about 30 more yards, and then there's another growl. This growl, that wasn't no damn puppy. This sounded like a monster. I'm talking about a deep, nasty, monstrous growl like something off a freaking sci-fi movie. And I want to say this to you. I've been shot at. I've had people walk by and shoot at me. People drive by and shoot at me. I've been shot in my legs, my arms, and my back all at the same time. And the amount of fear that hit my body when I heard that growl was nothing compared to the fear and the adrenaline that runs through your body when you get shot. I need you to understand this. There is no comparison. It was two different types of fear. This fear I felt outside at night in that darkness, it was almost as if I was helpless as it descended upon me. The next thing I noticed is eyes. I'm talking about eye shine all over the place. To our left in the tree line, eye shine. To our right, there was this high grass. There was eye shine in the grass. And I'm not talking about no little bitty eyes, man. Nah, take your standard smartphone that you might be holding in your hand right now, break it in half, put one to the right side, one to the left side of your face. That's how big these eyes were, all over the place. And it was in that moment right then and there that I realized why Joe and the rest of these guys were here, because none of them panicked. When I tell you they didn't panic, they were calm, they were communicating. Hey, you see that over there? Yeah, I got it over there. You see this? I got it. Okay, guys, let's start moving. Nobody shoot. Let's start moving. And so now we're picking up the pace, moving out of the area, and they start to move a little bit faster than I can move, almost leaving me behind. And one of them, I can't tell you which one of them, felt threatened because he started shooting. Now, let me tell you something. When them boys got to shooting, it sounded like 4th of July out there. Pop, 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 boom, boom, pop, 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 boom, 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 boom. The shit was crazy and insane. You know how the military movies, when people are retreating, one guy will stay stationary, and it's like they play leapfrog. Another guy runs further out, stops, starts shooting, and then other guys run past him. They start doing this shit, and I'm with Joseph. Joe runs way out and stops and says, stay right here with me. And as this is happening, I'm starting to realize, wait, eventually it's going to be our turn to be closest to what they're shooting at. And sure enough, a couple of seconds later, it was our turn to be way behind everybody else. And man, when I tell you I got a glimpse at what he was shooting at, and it looked like a freaking giant black cow. But cows don't move that fast. It's how big it was. It was as big as a cow, but there is no way that a cow could run that fast. Scared the shit out of me. And I take off running, screw the leapfrogging, the cover firing. I didn't give a damn. I'm running full speed back to that security cabin. Now listen to me when I say this to you. When I tell you I run as fast as I can and get back to the little security cabin, lock the doors, and I'm sitting there. They are outside for the next 10, 15 minutes shooting. Then all three of them come to the cabin, not breathing hard, calm as they can be, and say, okay, we need to wipe everything. It's time to go. And I'm like, what do you mean? He says, nope, we need to wipe everything. It's time to go. Two of them split off to go deal with the people who were staying there that night. And Joseph looks at me and says, come on, we're getting in the vehicle and we're going. Listen, this whole evacuation takes about 12 minutes. Joseph takes me back to where my car was parked. I get in my car and I start heading my ass home. Now listen, by Thursday, I'm back in the hood panicking. I'm still holding on to this 25 racks that Buzz gave me. I don't have no way of getting contact with Joe, so I'm just sitting there, twiddling my thumbs, playing video games, smoking weed, trying to figure out what's going to happen. Saturday rolls around, my nerves are shot. I'm talking about they completely shot. I step outside to smoke a cigarette. Here come that black Tahoe riding up the street. Bugs pulls up with all three of them guys. All three of them get out first, and I'm saying to myself, this is about to be some fucking bullshit, man. He rolls down the window, He's like, hey man, hey, come talk to me. Listen to me, I'm trying to read Joe's face to see what type of situation I'm in, but he's got that stone cold grizzled look on his face like he don't give a damn. What happens? I walk up to the vehicle, and Bug says, yeah man, Joe tell me shit went real bad, that them things came back, man. They had to start shooting, it went bad. I'm like, I'm sorry man, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't have nothing to do with it. I was doing what you told me to do. That's when Buzz looks at me and says, man, you know how to pay that sheriff off over there and shut that spot down. But I'm about to open up another spot. I wanted to see if you wanted to invest some of the money I gave you. Now, Paul, stop right here. To the non-conniving individual, an honest person, this sounds like it's a legit offer. Like, yeah, you my guy. You know about what's going on. You know, I want you to invest the money I gave you. But to me, this was a threat. I mean, if you wanted me to invest the money, you could have just called me. You didn't have to pull up heavy with 3 military guys and pull up on a block to make a statement. See, in my mind, Bugs was telling me, give me my fucking money back. But he was allowing me to save face to seem like I was investing. So I'm like, look, Bugs, I got 22,000 of it left over. I'll give it to you. And if you need the rest, give me a couple of days, I'll get that to you. He looks at me and says, that's okay, just give me 20 and you'll hear back from me in like a week. So I go inside, get $20,000, hand him $20,000 cash. A week passes, I ain't hear shit from him. And guess what? I don't want to hear a damn thing from Bugs ever again. I don't want nothing to do with his little stupid ass Airbnbs out in the middle of the woods where monsters is. Nothing. I don't want nothing to do with it at all.